It was a cold February night, just before the long weekend. A gang of highly skilled thieves, equipped with fake police uniforms and a stolen van fitted with false bottoms, descended upon the heavily guarded Diamond Center. The perpetrators displayed an extraordinary level of planning and sophistication. They were familiar with the layout of the Diamond Center and exploited weaknesses in its security systems. Under the guise of law enforcement officers responding to a purported alarm, the thieves gained access to the inner sanctum of the Diamond Center. Once inside, they swiftly disabled the alarm systems and breached the impenetrable vaults where the most valuable diamonds were housed. With meticulous precision, they systematically emptied over 100 out of 189 vaults, containing an estimated $100 million worth of diamonds. The magnitude of the heist sent shockwaves not only through the diamond industry but also through law enforcement agencies worldwide. It was a crime so daring.
The year was 2013. It was a time when the world was becoming increasingly interconnected and technology was advancing at a rapid pace. People were relying more and more on digital transactions, and the convenience of ATMs was taken for granted. Little did they know, a storm was brewing in the shadows of the cyber world. A global network of cybercriminals executed a heist so audacious, it would go down in history as one of the most sophisticated cybercrimes ever committed. These weren't just ordinary criminals, they were highly skilled hackers, working in unison across different continents, orchestrating a plan that had been months, if not years, in the making. So meticulously planned, it sent shockwaves through the financial world. The precision and coordination required for such an operation were mind-boggling. Financial institutions, which had always prided themselves on their security measures, were left scrambling to understand how this could have happened. Their target, not a bank vault, but the very system that powered it, the ATM network. By exploiting vulnerabilities in the software that managed these machines, they were able to manipulate the system to dispense cash at will. It was a modern-day digital heist, bypassing physical security entirely. This wasn't a smash-and-grab job, this was digital burglary on an unprecedented scale. The hackers infiltrated the networks with surgical precision, leaving little to no trace of their presence. They used sophisticated malware to gain access, and once inside, they moved with the stealth of ghosts. Over a single weekend, these digital thieves siphoned millions of dollars from ATMs across the globe. The operation was timed perfectly, taking advantage of the weekend lull when banks were closed and security measures were at their weakest. In a matter of hours, they had drained accounts and left financial institutions reeling. From New York to Moscow, the money flowed like digital water through a broken dam. The scale of the operation was unprecedented, with ATMs in multiple countries being hit simultaneously. It was as if a coordinated army of invisible thieves had struck, leaving chaos in their wake. The audacity of the crime stunned the world. News outlets were abuzz with reports of the heist, and people everywhere were left wondering how such a thing could happen. The sheer scale and coordination of the attack were unlike anything seen before, and it raised serious questions about the security of the global financial system. How could something like this happen? How could a global network of ATMs be so vulnerable? The questions were endless, and the answers were elusive. Banks and cybersecurity experts were left to pick up the pieces and figure out how to prevent such an attack from happening again. The answer, it turned out, lay in a single, seemingly insignificant flaw deep within the heart of the banking system. A tiny vulnerability that had gone unnoticed for years, but when exploited, it opened the floodgates for one of the most daring cyber heists in history. This incident served as a wake-up call, highlighting the need for stronger cybersecurity measures in an increasingly digital world. At the heart of this audacious heist lay a vulnerability, a chink in the armor of a system designed to be impenetrable. The banking system, with its layers of security and protocols, was thought to be a fortress. Yet, like any fortress, it had its weak points. The hackers had discovered a weakness in the way some banks processed ATM transactions, a flaw that was almost invisible to the naked eye but glaring to those who knew where to look, particularly those involving prepaid debit cards. This vulnerability centered around the magnetic stripe on the back of debit cards. These stripes, often overlooked, held the key to a treasure trove of financial data. This stripe, encoded with crucial financial data, was the key to unlocking funds. The magnetic stripe technology, while revolutionary at its inception, had not evolved to keep pace with the sophisticated methods of modern hackers. The hackers realized that by manipulating this data, they could create counterfeit cards capable of bypassing security protocols. These counterfeit cards were indistinguishable from the real ones, making detection nearly impossible. The flaw was not in the ATMs themselves, but in the way certain banks communicated with the global payment networks. The communication protocols, designed for speed and efficiency, had inadvertently left a backdoor open. A lack of robust security checks at this critical juncture provided an open door for the hackers to exploit. The banks, in their quest for seamless transactions, had overlooked the importance of stringent security measures. They were about to turn this tiny crack in the system into a gaping chasm. The stage was set for one of the most audacious cyber heists in history, a heist that would expose the vulnerabilities of a system believed to be unassailable. The hackers, armed with their counterfeit cards and a deep understanding of the banking system's flaws, were ready to strike. They knew that timing was crucial, and they had meticulously planned every step of their operation. As the clock ticked down, the hackers executed their plan with precision. They targeted multiple ATMs across different cities, withdrawing vast sums of money in a matter of minutes. The scale of the heist was unprecedented. By the time the banks realized what was happening, it was too late. The hackers had vanished, leaving behind a trail of empty ATMs and bewildered bank officials. The aftermath of the heist sent shockwaves through the banking industry. It was a stark reminder that even the most secure systems could be compromised. The banks had to rethink their security measures, closing the loopholes that had been so ruthlessly exploited. In the wake of the heist, banks around the world began to implement more advanced security protocols. The magnetic stripe technology was gradually phased out, replaced by more secure chip-based cards. The heist had exposed a critical vulnerability, but it also spurred a wave of innovation in banking security. The lessons learned from this incident would shape the future of financial security for years to come. With the vulnerability identified, the hackers set about crafting their digital skeleton key. Their weapon of choice cloned debit cards, each one a phantom copy of a legitimate account, loaded with stolen funds. Working in the shadowy corners of the internet, they targeted financial institutions with lax security measures. They infiltrated databases, pilfering account numbers and PINs, gathering the raw materials for their counterfeit operation. These stolen credentials were then encoded onto blank plastic cards, creating an army of ghost cards ready to be unleashed upon the world. The stage was set, the actors in place. All that remained was to choose the time and place for their digital curtain call. Section 4. The Night of the Unlimited. The night of the heist was a symphony of perfectly coordinated chaos. With military precision, teams of cashers fanned out across the globe, armed with their cloned debit cards and a set of instructions. From Tokyo to Toronto, ATMs began spitting out cash. The cashers, working in small teams, withdrew the maximum allowable amount, ensuring they stayed below the radar of suspicion. As the night wore on, the scale of the operation became terrifyingly clear. Millions of dollars were vanishing into thin air, leaving behind a trail of bewildered customers and empty ATM machines. By dawn, the deed was done. The hackers, having crippled the global financial system, vanished into the digital ether, leaving authorities scrambling to understand the magnitude of the attack. Section 5. The dragnet closes in. The morning after the heist, the world reeled. The audacity and scale of the cyber attack left everyone stunned, from ordinary citizens to top government officials. As people woke up and checked their phones, they were greeted with alarming headlines and frantic news updates. The sense of unease was palpable, spreading through the city streets like an invisible fog. News of the unprecedented cyber attack spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through the financial industry and beyond. The stock markets were in turmoil, with screens flashing red as values plummeted. Financial institutions scrambled to assess the damage, while news anchors delivered updates with a mix of urgency and disbelief. The attack had not only targeted financial systems, but had also shaken the very foundation of global economic stability. Law enforcement agencies across the globe launched a massive investigation determined to bring the perpetrators to justice. Meetings were held in high-security rooms, with officers from different countries sharing intelligence and strategies. Detectives worked around the clock, sifting through mountains of data and following every lead, no matter how small. The sense of urgency was clear. This was a race against time to prevent further chaos. The investigation was complex and sprawling, involving international cooperation on an unprecedented scale. Flags from various nations adorned the conference rooms, symbolizing the unity and shared purpose of the global task force. Maps with investigation markers covered the walls, each pin representing a clue or a suspect. The sheer scale of the operation was daunting, but the resolve of the investigators was unwavering. Slowly but surely, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Detectives pieced together clues on large boards, creating a visual map of the cybercriminal network. Forensic analysts meticulously examined digital evidence, uncovering hidden connections and patterns. Every small victory was celebrated, each one bringing them a step closer to the masterminds behind the attack. Digital breadcrumbs led investigators to online forums and chat logs, revealing the inner workings of the cybercriminal underworld. These virtual spaces were abuzz with activity as criminals discussed their plans and shared tips. Digital forensic specialists worked tirelessly decoding encrypted messages and tracing IP addresses. The deeper they delved, the clearer the picture became of a highly organized and dangerous network. As the net tightened, arrests were made in countries spanning multiple continents. Coordinated raids took place simultaneously, catching many of the suspects off guard. News clips showed handcuffed individuals being led away by stern-faced officers. The international effort was paying off, and the world watched as justice began to be served. The operation, it turned out, was far larger and more sophisticated than anyone had initially imagined. Detectives uncovered complex plans that spanned years and involved multiple layers of deception. The coordination between various law enforcement agencies was nothing short of remarkable, each one playing a crucial role in dismantling the network. The scale of the operation was a testament to the dedication and expertise of the investigators. This was not the work of lone wolves, but of a highly organized criminal syndicate with tentacles reaching across the globe. Courtroom sketches depicted the key players, their faces a mix of defiance and resignation. Briefings revealed the syndicate's extensive reach, with connections in numerous countries and industries. The investigation had peeled back the layers of a vast and intricate web of crime, and the world was now watching as the final chapters of this saga unfolded.